The massive space station hung against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars, its ring-shaped structure gleaming under the light of a distant sun. Inside, Ambassador James adjusted his plain black tie one final time. He wasn't nervous, not exactly, but he knew that humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council would change everything. The human delegation stood out among the alien representatives filling the station's grand chamber. While other species wore elaborate robes and ceremonial armor, the Earth team chose simple, professional attire. Dark suits, clean lines, nothing fancy. They didn't need to impress anyone with shiny decorations. "The Council will see you now," announced a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms. Its voice came through the universal translator with a slight metallic echo. Ambassador James led his team of 5 into the circular chamber. 47 different alien species sat in rising tiers around them, like a massive amphitheater. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others sat in specialized environmental chambers, and a few seemed to shift between solid and gaseous states. The head counselor, a creature that looked like a cross between an octopus and a crystal formation, spoke first. "Welcome, representatives of Earth. We have monitored your species for some time now." James nodded politely. "We suspected as much. We detected several observation satellites in our solar system over the past decade." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. They hadn't expected humans to notice their surveillance. "Then you understand why we finally decided to make contact," the head counselor continued. "Your species has reached a critical development stage. It is time for Earth to take its proper place in the galactic community. We look forward to peaceful cooperation," James replied, keeping his voice neutral. The head counselor's crystalline parts sparkled. "Excellent. We have prepared the standard submission protocols. Once signed, Earth will be under the Council's protection and guidance." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. James carefully placed his hands on the podium in front of him. "I'm sorry, but could you clarify what you mean by submission protocols?" "It's quite simple," a reptilian counselor spoke up. "Your species comes from what we classify as a death world. Your evolutionary path has made you too dangerous to be left unchecked. For the safety of all, you must accept Council oversight." James looked around the chamber slowly. "And if we decline?" The aliens stirred uneasily. A being made of swirling gas spoke next, its words condensing into glowing shapes before the translator converted them. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. Earth will submit or face immediate sanctions. Your system will be blockaded. Your colonies will be seized. Your economy will collapse." "I see." James straightened his jacket. "And you believe this is the best way to begin our relationship with the galactic community?" "It is the only way," the head counselor stated. "Humans are simply too violent, too aggressive, too unpredictable. Your entertainment alone shows your dangerous tendencies. You simulate warfare for fun. You train for combat even in times of peace. You never stopped developing weapons." "You're right about one thing," James said quietly. "We never stopped preparing. We never got soft. Unlike your species, we remember what it means to fight for survival." He turned to his team and nodded. As one, they stepped back from the podium. "What are you doing?" the head counselor demanded. "The submission protocols must be signed." James paused at the chamber doors. "You know the interesting thing about humans. We learned a long time ago that sometimes the strongest move isn't fighting. Sometimes the strongest move is simply walking away." "You cannot leave," the reptilian counselor shouted. "There will be consequences." James didn't bother turning around. "There certainly will be, but not the ones you're expecting." The human delegation left the chamber in complete silence. Behind them, 47 species sat in stunned disbelief. For the first time in galactic history, a species had rejected Council authority. And in doing so, humanity had just changed the rules of the game. Somewhere in the distance, a clock started ticking. Admiral Ray stood at the main window of Earth's Orbital Defense Command, watching the stars. His reflection showed a weathered face and gray hair, but his eyes remained sharp. The latest reports from deep space sensors lay on the tablet in his hand, and none of the news was good. "Sir," his aide stepped into the room. "We've detected multiple jump signatures at the edge of the solar system. The Council is moving faster than we expected." Ray didn't turn from the window. "How many ships?" "Over 300, Admiral. They're gathering near Neptune's orbit." A slight smile crossed Ray's face. "They think numbers will intimidate us." Typical. He finally turned around. "Send word to activate Protocol Dark Shield. And wake up the Ghost Fleet." The aide's eyes widened. "The Ghost Fleet? But sir, we haven't even tested it in real combat conditions." "Sometimes you have to play your best cards early," Ray replied. "Better to shock them now than save surprises for later." The command center burst into activity as orders went out. Hidden defense platforms around Earth's orbit powered up. Stealth ships that had been invisible even to Earth's own regular sensors began appearing on secure channels. The fruit of 50 years of secret military development was about to be revealed. A sudden alert cut through the controlled chaos. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission." "It's not from the Council fleet." Ray walked to the main communication screen. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life, showing the alien face that looked almost like a mix between a cat and a deer. Its large eyes blinked nervously. "People of Earth," the alien spoke quickly, "I am First Speaker Tam of the Drift Worlds. The Council doesn't know I'm contacting you. Listen carefully. You're in more danger than you realize, but also less than they think." Ray leaned forward. "Explain." "The Council has never faced rejection before. In their entire history, every species submitted to their authority. Your defiance has frightened them. They're rushing to attack before other species get similar ideas." "But," Ray prompted, hearing the unspoken word in Tam's voice, "but they don't understand what they're facing. They think your weapons are primitive because you still used physical projectiles and nuclear power. They don't realize that we kept those systems because they work." Ray finished. "That we never abandoned primitive technology just because we found something fancier." Tam nodded eagerly. "Exactly. The Council races all followed the same development path. They abandoned certain technologies as they discovered new ones. But humans, we kept everything that worked," Ray said, "and improved it all." The alien's ears twitched. "The Council fleet approaching Earth expects an easy victory. They think their energy shields will protect them from what they consider outdated weapons. They don't know about your innovations in kinetic weaponry, your advances in stealth technology, and we'd like to keep it that way." Ray interrupted firmly. "Thank you for the warning, First Speaker Tam. Earth won't forget who its friends are." After the transmission ended, Ray turned to his command staff. "You heard our friend. The Council thinks we're primitive savages who got lucky with space travel. Time to show them why assuming things about humans is a bad idea." He walked to the central command table, where a holographic display showed the approaching Council fleet. "They expect us to either submit or fight conventionally," he said. "Instead, we're going to show them something they've never seen before." He looked at his officers. "Activate the Ghost Fleet. Let's show the galaxy why humanity never stopped preparing for war." In the darkness of space, hundreds of human ships shimmered into view, appearing from their perfect stealth positions around the Council fleet. The aliens had thought they were the hunters. They were about to learn they were the prey. The Council's fleet commander, High Captain Vex, stood proudly on his bridge. His species looked like a tall praying mantis, and right now his antenna twitched with anticipation. The battle ahead would be simple. Humans were primitive, after all. Their weapons would barely scratch his ship's energy shields. "All ships report ready," his second-in-command announced. "The humans have not responded to our final warning." "Of course not." Vex clicked his mandibles. "These Deathworlders are too stubborn. Begin the attack pattern. Show them the futility of." A warning alarm cut through his words. On the main screen, hundreds of ships suddenly appeared around his fleet. Human ships. They had been there the whole time, completely invisible to all sensors. Impossible. Vex's antenna went rigid with shock. Where did they? The human ships fired. But they didn't use energy weapons like the Council fleet expected. Instead, they launched what looked like simple metal rods. Vex almost laughed. Then the rods accelerated to near-light speed. The first Council ship disappeared in a flash of light. Its energy shields, designed to stop plasma and laser fire, did nothing against simple metal moving at relativistic speeds. 3 more ships vanished before Vex could even give orders. Evasive action, he screamed. Return fire. But the human ships were already moving, changing positions faster than his gunners could track. Their formation looked chaotic, but Vex suddenly realized it was anything but random. Each human ship moved independently, following its own attack plan while somehow maintaining perfect coordination with the others. On Earth's orbital command, Admiral Ray watched the battle unfold. Status report. Ghost Fleet performing at 98% efficiency, his tactical officer reported. The Council's shields are useless against our kinetic strike weapons. Their formations are breaking up. Ray nodded. They expected us to fight like them, to follow their rules of space combat. Show them what else we can do. Launch the Tigers. Small, dart-like ships shot out from Earth's defense platforms. Each one carried a single pilot and enough explosives to crack a planet. The Council called humans primitive for still using chemical explosives. They were about to learn why humans kept the old weapons alongside the new ones. The Tiger ships darted between the larger vessels, too small and fast to track. Wherever they touched a Council ship, they left behind a small device. Vex didn't even notice them at first. Then the devices activated. Synchronized nuclear explosions ripped through the Council fleet. Not big enough to destroy the ships completely, but perfectly placed to disable their main systems. Vex watched in horror as ship after ship lost power, weapons, or engines. "This is impossible," he shouted. "They're savages. They can't be this advanced." "Sir," his second-in-command's voice shook. "The humans. They're broadcasting a message." Admiral Ray's voice filled every Council ship's command center. "This is your only warning. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your sensors cannot track our ships. Your tactics cannot match our strategies. You have 30 minutes to power down your weapons and prepare for escort out of our solar system." Vex's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. A third of his fleet was already destroyed or disabled. The humans had taken no losses at all. "The choice is yours," Ray's voice continued. "Leave now, or we'll show you why Death World species never stopped evolving, never stopped improving, never stopped preparing for war." In the silence that followed, Vex made the first retreat order in Council military history. As his remaining ships turned away from Earth, he finally understood. The Council had expected to find primitive savages. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. News of the Council fleet's defeat spread through the galaxy like wildfire. In the Grand Council chamber, the atmosphere was tense. Empty seats showed where several species had already withdrawn their representatives. The head councilor's crystalline form flickered with agitation. "This is unprecedented," it said to the remaining Council members. "Not only did the humans defeat our fleet, but they did it without losing a single ship." First Speaker Tam stood up. His cat-deer features were calm, but his eyes showed determination. "Perhaps it's time we admitted our mistake. The humans aren't primitives who need our guidance. They're equals who deserve our respect." Equals. A gaseous being swirled angrily. "They're dangerous. Look at how easily they destroyed our ships." "They destroyed our ships because we attacked them," Tam replied. "They defended their home. What would any of us have done?" Meanwhile, in Earth's diplomatic center, Ambassador James reviewed messages from 17 different alien species. All of them wanted to establish independent relations with Earth, separate from the Council. "They're scared," his assistant noted, looking at the messages. James shook his head. Not all of them. Some are impressed. They've watched us stand up to the council and win. Now they're wondering if they can do the same. A new alert flashed on his screen. The Drift Worlds, led by First Speaker Tam, had officially withdrawn from the council. 3 more species followed within the hour. In space, Admiral Ray oversaw the deployment of Earth's new defense network. Satellites carrying both old and new weapons spread through the solar system. Some were visible to show Earth's strength. Others remained hidden, invisible even to their allies. "Sir," his aide reported, "we're detecting more council ships at the edge of the system." Ray checked the readings and smiled. "No, those aren't council ships anymore. Look at their signatures. Those are the Independents, species who've left the council. They're asking for permission to approach and open diplomatic channels." The aide looked surprised. "They want to talk. After what we did to the council fleet." "Because of what we did," Ray corrected. "We showed them something they'd never seen before. A species that could stand up to the council and win. But more importantly, we showed them we only fight when attacked." On the main screen, more ships appeared. These were council vessels, but they moved cautiously, staying at the system's edge. Their weapons were powered down. "They're watching us," Ray said. "Learning. For the first time in their history, they've found a species they can't simply order around. And it's making them question everything they believed." Back in the council chamber, the debate raged on. More seats stood empty as additional species declared independence. The head councilor's crystalline form had lost its shine. "We must act decisively," it declared. "The humans have shown their military strength. Perhaps it's time to offer them a special position within the council. They could be useful allies." First Speaker Tam, one of the few who remained to speak, laughed softly. "You still don't understand. The humans don't want to be useful to you. They don't want your special positions or your offered power." "Then what do they want?" "To be left alone," Tam said. "To be treated as equals. To build relationships based on respect, not submission. And thanks to them, other species are starting to want the same thing." As if to prove his point, 3 more species stood up and walked out of the chamber. The council's grip on the galaxy was slipping away, all because one species had dared to say no. The balance of power wasn't just shifting. It was being completely rewritten. The council's emergency session chamber looked very different now. Only 22 species remained, less than half of the original number. The head councilor's crystalline form had grown dark with stress. "We have no choice," it announced. "If we don't act now, everything we built will crumble. Every fleet we have must attack Earth. We will crush them with overwhelming force." The reptilian councilor shifted uncomfortably. "But the humans have already proven. They got lucky once." The head councilor's voice boomed. "We underestimated them. We won't make that mistake again. This time, we send everything." In Earth's orbital command, Admiral Ray watched as thousands of council ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. "They're desperate," he said quietly. "And desperate enemies are the most dangerous kind." His aide looked at the numbers with worry. "Sir, even with our advanced weapons, these numbers..." Ray smiled. "Did you think the Ghost Fleet was our only surprise? Tell me, what do you know about Project Dark Star?" "The defense system." "But sir, it's not ready for..." "It's been ready for 15 years, Ray interrupted. "We just never needed it before." Around Earth, hidden stations began to power up. They had been disguised as debris, asteroids, and space junk. Now they awakened, revealing their true nature. The Council fleet moved forward in attack formation. Their weapons were charged to maximum power. Their shields were reinforced. They had studied the human tactics from the first battle and prepared countermeasures. It didn't matter. The Dark Star system activated. Suddenly, the laws of physics seemed to twist around the Council fleet. Ships found themselves moving in the wrong directions. Weapons fired backwards. Communications became scrambled. "What's happening?" the Council Fleet Commander demanded. "How are they doing this?" On his command ship's screen, Admiral Ray's face appeared. "You thought we only improved old weapons, that we didn't develop new ones. The Dark Star system doesn't just control gravity, it controls space itself around your ships." The Council fleet tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Ghost Fleet appeared behind them, cutting off their escape. More human ships emerged from hidden positions around the solar system. "You had a chance to leave us alone," Ray's voice continued. "Instead, you chose to attack with everything you had. Now you get to see everything we have." The battle that followed was short but devastating. Council ships fired randomly, their weapons affected by the Dark Star system's space distortions. Human vessels moved with perfect precision through the chaos, their crews protected from the spatial effects. In the council chamber, the representatives watched in horror as live feeds showed their fleet being torn apart. "How?" The head counselor's voice shook. "How could they hide such power?" First Speaker Tam, who had stayed to watch, answered softly. "Because you never considered that a primitive species might be more advanced than you in ways you couldn't imagine." Within 2 hours, the mighty Council fleet was in ruins. Not destroyed. The humans had deliberately disabled rather than destroyed most ships, a message of mercy that somehow felt more frightening than destruction. Admiral Ray looked at the aftermath displayed on his command screen. Thousands of Council ships floated powerless in space, their crews alive but helpless. "Send the rescue ships," he ordered. "Show them that humans know how to win a war without needless death." As human medical and rescue vessels moved to help their defeated enemies, the message was clear. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Council, they had outclassed them in every way possible. The Council chamber was almost empty now. Only 15 species remained, their representatives looking tired and defeated. The head counselor's crystalline form had dulled to an almost gray color. Ambassador James walked into the chamber for the first time since that first meeting. His simple black suit stood out against the elaborate but wrinkled robes of the council members. Unlike them, he looked perfectly calm and rested. "Honorable Council," he said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. "You asked for this meeting. I'm here to listen." The head counselor raised itself up, trying to maintain some dignity. "We have reconsidered our position regarding Earth." "Have you?" James's voice remained neutral. "Your species has proven itself far more capable than we understood," the reptilian counselor added quickly. "Your military power, your technology, your tactics, they all exceed our expectations." James waited silently. He knew there was more coming. "We would like to offer Earth a special position within the Council," the head counselor continued. "Not as a subject race, but as a full partner. Equal status with the founding species. Complete autonomy. Access to all our technology and trade routes." A few months ago, this offer would have seemed incredibly generous. Now it felt like desperation. In return, the gaseous counselor added, "We ask only for your help in maintaining galactic stability. Many species have left the Council after seeing your success. The galaxy needs order." James walked slowly around the chamber, looking at each remaining council member. "Let me make sure I understand," he said finally. "You tried to force us to submit. When that failed, you tried to intimidate us. When that failed, you tried to destroy us. And now that all of that has failed, you want to be partners." "We admit our mistakes," the head counselor said quickly. "We were wrong about humans. We see that now." "No," James replied softly. "You don't see anything now except your own fear. You're not offering partnership because you respect us. You're offering it because you're afraid of us." The chamber grew very quiet. "But that's not even the worst part," James continued. "The worst part is that you still don't understand what you did wrong. You're still trying to control everything. Still trying to maintain your power over others. The galaxy needs leadership," the reptilian counselor protested. "The galaxy needs freedom," James corrected. "It needs the right of every species to choose their own path." something you never offered until you were forced to. He walked back to the center of the chamber. You asked me here to offer Earth a position of power, but you don't understand humans at all if you think that's what we want. Then what do you want? The head counselor asked, its voice trembling slightly. James smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. We want what we've always wanted. To be left alone. To make our own choices. To help others do the same. But the council is finished, James said firmly. You just haven't accepted it yet. Half your members have already left. More will follow. Not because we defeated you, but because you never deserved their loyalty in the first place. He turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. You called us primitives because we never stopped preparing for war. But you want to know the real difference between humans and the council. The council members waited in silence. We remember what it means to fight for something bigger than ourselves, and we'll keep fighting. Not for power, not for control, but for freedom. For everyone. With those words, James walked out of the chamber for the second and final time. Behind him, the remains of the once mighty council sat in stunned silence, finally understanding that their age of power was truly over. 6 months after Ambassador James's final meeting with the council, Earth's Orbital Command Center hosted a very different kind of gathering. Representatives from 32 species filled the main conference room. First, Speaker Tam sat near Admiral Ray, while other former council species mingled with newly independent races. Welcome to the first meeting of the Galactic Free Alliance, James addressed the group. We're here today not to create new rulers, but to ensure no one ever rules over others again. The room buzzed with approval. These species had all chosen to walk away from the Council's control. Now they were building something new. The humans have shown us a better way, Tam spoke up. Not through force or control, but through strength and respect. Admiral Ray stood next to a large display showing the galaxy. Earth's defense technologies will be shared with all Alliance members, not because we want to spread weapons, but because we believe every species has the right to protect itself. A small bird-like alien raised its wing. But what about the Council? They still control significant territory. James smiled. The Council now rules over just 7 systems. Their remaining members are leaving every day, not because we forced them to, but because we showed them they had a choice. On the main screen, reports showed the changes spreading across the galaxy. Trade routes were opening up between formerly restricted systems. Species that the Council had kept apart were now sharing technology and culture. The galaxy was transforming. But how do we prevent the Alliance from becoming just another council? Asked a crystalline being, similar to but smaller than the head counselor. Simple, James replied. Every member maintains complete independence. The Alliance exists only to protect freedom, not to control it. Any species can leave at any time, no questions asked. Ray pulled up images of the new defense network. Earth will help establish protection for all member worlds, but we won't control those defenses. Each species will maintain their own security, with others helping only when asked. And the dark star technology? Someone asked. Will you share that too? When each species is ready for it, Ray nodded. We'll teach you not just how to use it, but how to understand it. No more keeping secrets or hoarding knowledge. In space, ships from different species work together to dismantle the last remnants of Council control systems. Border checkpoints were replaced with simple navigation beacons. Restriction zones were opened to free travel. There's something else you should know, James continued. Earth didn't develop all this technology just to fight. The Dark Star System, it's not just a weapon. It's the key to faster-than-light travel without the Council's restricted jump gates. We're about to open up the entire galaxy for free exploration. The excitement in the room was electric. Species that had been confined to limited territories for generations could now reach the stars on their own. But remember, James's voice grew serious. With freedom comes responsibility. We've all seen what happens when power corrupts. The Council didn't start out planning to control everyone. They just forgot how to let go of power once they had it. He looked around the room. That's why humans walked away. Not because we didn't want to help, but because true help means teaching others to stand on their own. We're not here to be leaders. We're here to be partners. As the meeting continued, news spread across the galaxy. The age of the Council was over. But what replaced it wasn't another empire or another form of control. Instead, it was something the galaxy had never seen before: true freedom, protected by those who understood its real value. The humans had walked away from power. And in doing so, they had shown everyone else how to walk towards something better.